your host. I am from the band Guster and also co-founder and co-director of the environmental nonprofit group REVERB. We started this live stream cooking show series last year during the live music shutdown. We called it Quarantine Kitchen, since we're no longer part of the quarantine, which we're thankful for, at least in this country. We changed the name to REVERB's Kitchen and have had a wonderful number of musicians, celebrities, and other interesting folks come and cook sustainable plant-based recipes from their own kitchens. And tonight is no exception. Good friend of mine, Mr. G is his stage name. Ben Gundersheimer is his given name. He is a Latin Grammy award-winning musician, a children's musician. He is an activist, an author, has a number of books, and is just an all-around awesome dude. I had the pleasure of getting to know him through REVERB. We'll talk about that. He is going to cook us. What is the dish he's going to cook us? He's going to cook us a veggie frittata cast iron supreme. So please, well, before I bring him on, I just want to say, normally we're shut down, but we're not now. So REVERB's been incredibly busy. That's why we haven't had a show in a while. We're out on tour right now with Dave Matthews Band, Tame Impala, Dead and Company, My Morning Jacket, Harry Styles. We've had a bunch of stuff going on. So we're excited to be back at it, but also still having fun doing this cooking show. So please now welcome Mr. G. There he is.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. So thankful that you're able to join us and do this. We were in touch kind of separately about other things, but related to the good work that you're doing. And I just was like, hey, wait a minute, do you cook? And apparently you do. Is this something you know? Are you just kind of like making the live stream cooking show rounds, or is this a new one for you?
This is my debut live stream cooking show. So, we'll just have to see how it goes.
You're the most relaxed guest we've had so far. If I'm
Is that right?
Yeah, most people are freaking out. Like we had a little tech check before, people were able to see this for those who are viewing right now. And you were cool as a cucumber, where most people are like freaking out. They're chopping all their stuff. They're prepping.
All right. Well, you scared me when you said if I'm making the rounds. I assumed like all the rock stars have been like done every cooking show. I was like, oh no, this is my first. I hope it goes all right.
No, it's my favorite. I love that. No, most folks who are on here are not professional chefs and are definitely not used to cooking on live stream shows.
Yes. So, count me in that club for sure.
Is cooking something you've been doing more of, or you do in general? Like where's cooking in your life these days?
Certainly more since the pandemic, just being home so much, and I love it. But my wife would say that I'm strictly a breakfast cook. I take a little umbrage to that, but I thought, just given that that's how she's defined me, I'd stay in my wheelhouse with a veggie frittata today.
Perfect. Although, hey, like we were talking about, you can have it anytime.
Exactly.
Especially, I mean, there's definitely been, especially during this whole pandemic, where like with the kids at home, I'm just like, all right, breakfast for dinner, let's do it. Let's just get some cereal or waffles or whatever it is, just to make life easier.
Totally.
But that's great. Well, super excited about this. Although before we do the frittata, we're gonna also make a little beverage, which is.
You want to do that before?
I mean, could we?
Absolutely. It's 5 o'clock. Let's do it.
I'm into it. And like we said, frittatas aren't for breakfast always, and neither are Bloody Marys, right?
So then keep this down the down low, because I'm supposed to be in like the family friendly mode day to day, but we're gonna make a mezcal Bloody Mary.
All right.
I got really into mezcal. I've spent a lot of time in Mexico, and for those of you who don't know, I write a lot of bilingual Spanish-English music, and that's brought me to Latin America a lot. And my friends there turned me on to that, and now I'll put mezcal in anything. So it's a little bit of an unconventional Bloody Mary concept, but let's do it together. Do you have some fixings of your own?
I do. I have some things. I had to improvise a little bit because we came up with this idea just yesterday. But I'm psyched. I was psyched to get the email from you. We're like, let's do it. I might leave this right here. I can see what you're doing well enough.
I appreciated that you cautioned me against like the brand management of like, is it kosher to break out the cocktail? But then I thought, you know what?
Well, this is all aspects of you. This isn't just you as the children's musician. This is Ben Gundersheimer. I hope I'm not murdering your last name.
No, you're doing a fantastic job.
Hence the name Mr. G, though, right? That was that.
Yes. Gundersheimer is a little cumbersome for show business, and after a certain point, I went and got a master's of elementary education, started teaching in the classroom, and I had the kids call me Mr. G to spare them, and then started writing songs with them, and it went from there. So
I want to hear about that whole journey, but let's start first.
Yeah, first things first.
About all of that.
First things first. If you've got a tumbler,
Nope.
If not, the key is a glass. That's really critical, and some ice. All right.
Yes, I've got ice here. Maybe I can use this as a tumbler.
Oh yeah, no worries. Ice in the glass. I mean, this is like, I'm not going to be. There are no mixologists who will be intimidated by what they're about to see here. This is like bare bones. Just 2 minutes here, tops.
Great. That's sometimes that's all you need.
Right. All right. Here's the mezcal. My friend Kike in Mexico City gave me this beautiful bottle. Sadly, it's called Alipus. Really nice mezcal. Sadly, I'm almost at the end of this one.
And is mezcal's a close cousin of tequila?
Absolutely. Yep.
Good, because that's what I was able to get my hands on.
Oh, excellent.
So I have a little tequila.
So it's like a 1 to 2/3 ratio. So I'm just doing like a shot of mezcal.
Okay. Yep. I'll call that a shot.
This is a pandemic discovery for me. I'm sure a lot of people were already onto it, but I'm a little late to the party. The McClure's Bloody Mary mixer.
Nice. I wasn't able to get that, but I found something that I'm trying for the first time called Sucker Punch.
Nice. So this has got a kick to it, which I enjoy.
Yeah. So 1/3 to 2/3 is what.
Yeah. So I'm doing.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I like that you wanted to get right down to business with the cocktail, Adam. I was thinking we would do that like while the frittata was in the broiler, but you're like, no, let's get.
Oh yeah.
First things first. Yeah. All right, this is the part that it makes you feel like you're a pro. The shaking it all.
I have to do the stirred. Sorry, James Bond.
No shame. No shame in the stir.
Okay.
Here in Western Mass, people will look at you skeptically if you don't drink your cocktail out of a mason jar. So I'm gonna do it like we do.
Perfect. Hey, that's on brand for this show as far as environmental.
Yeah. So into the mason jar, and then I like to garnish this with these spicy little pickles.
You have the Cornichon pickles?
I do. Did you get some of those?
Well, so I've got some of these like little pickles that are almost Cornichon, but
okay.
I think I might substitute for, I don't know. I have never heard of these until I moved to Maine. Dilly beans.
Okay.
The pickled string bean. And
yeah, I love dilly beans.
Oh, great. Is that a New England thing? I've never heard of it before I moved out here.
You're right. Neither of us are native New Englanders, so it's like still exotic to be up here, even though I've been in where I am for many years.
All right.
We're good to go.
Nice. All right. Hold on. Let me get in there. I also added a little extra horseradish. Sucker Punch had enough of the horseradish for me.
All right.
Cheers, everybody who's watching. Ben, thanks for joining us on this episode. And I'm going to look here in the side view to see if anyone has anything. By the way, I forgot to mention at the top of the show, if anyone has any questions for Ben or for me, I'm looking at the public chat here. So if you have any questions or things you want to say, cheers.
Salud.
We'll take a look at that. That's great.
Yeah.
I definitely want to try the mezcal to add that smokiness to it.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. All right.
All right. So now, before we start cooking, I do want to kind of get into it. You touched on it, but you have a really interesting backstory of how you got to where you are. So you started as a musician, and then went into education, and then brought it back. Like, can you kind of give us your life story?
No, you got it. You got it. I mean, I started off as a singer-songwriter, did that as a solo artist and with bands for years, and then eventually hit a place where I didn't really see a path forward. Kind of the last touring band really just got like beat up on the road and got to. But the thing about that group is we had this dual identity where we would, be playing bars and clubs and little theaters and all by night, but by day we created this alter ego called the Roots Music Collective, where we would do educational school assemblies. So sometimes we'd have these surreal experiences like being, in a rock club till 2 a.m, and then at 8:30 in the cafeteria on the floor under the fluorescent lights doing this assembly on the roots of American music. But over time, I started to feel more inspired actually by those settings, just especially because with the younger kids, they just were so open to music. And I was getting really turned off by like the hipster, jaded rock and roll world. So I went back and got a master's in education with the idea at the time of transitioning out of music and becoming a classroom teacher. Then I just started writing songs with my students during recess and during lunch and all when I was a student teacher, just because that was what I knew how to do. I really didn't know how to teach, but I could write songs and make you laugh and all. And that's when they really came alive, and then I started writing songs about things related to the curriculum. So things to help them remember a book or math problems or whatever it was. And the upshot was I taught for a little while, but then started being asked to play the birthday parties of my students and coffee shops. This is out in Western Mass, Northampton, where I'm based. Mm-hmm. And then just like, I know a little bit about, the way the Guster Project evolved. It became like word of mouth and started local, then regional. And the next thing I knew, I was back to touring the country again and playing some of these venues like Lollapalooza or Austin City Limits or New Orleans Jazz Festival, but doing it for kids and families. So it's been like this crazy, unexpected journey.
That is so cool. And how did well, I have two questions. How did Spanish come into the equation? Because you're a Latin Grammy Award winner.
But I'm a Jewish kid from Philadelphia, so it's a legitimate question. Absolutely. So when I was a kid, everybody gets asked like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my answer to that was always quite definitive. It was like, I want to be a musician and a Major League Baseball player. And like lots of Jewish kids, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball. Right. So when I was in 7th grade at my school in Philly, you had to pick a language. So the options were French or Spanish. And I chose Spanish because I thought that would be more useful to communicate with my future Major League teammates. So that's how that came about. And I liked the language. I loved it. And I kept up with it all through high school. Then I actually did play baseball for all 4 years in college, but I did a semester in Spain during college. But, I did not use Spanish for music until I was doing the Mr. G project, ironically.
Wild.
Yeah. And that came about. So I'd spent a lot of time in Latin America, had all this like crazy baseball experience, but dislocated my shoulder my senior year. Some of my friends got drafted. It didn't happen to me. I was sort of brokenhearted. But like moved on with life and did this whole, singer-songwriter career. We were on our honeymoon in Colombia and I just started the Mr. G project and I brought my mandolin with me. We're just sitting on the beach in this remote jungle. And these little kids were curious what the instrument was. And they came over and I just wrote a song for them called Vamos a la Playa, which means we're going to the beach. And, since we were in Colombia, I wrote it in Spanish and wrote several others for kids just like on the street during that trip and put some of those on the second Mr. G album. And there was a lot of interest in that. So I kept going with that, not knowing at that point that there was something like a Latin Grammy Award for children's music. So it's all been like these wild developments with this incarnation of the music career.
That's wild. It's just interesting where you're like, I had a goal over here. Oh, that didn't happen. But then you had found success somewhere that you weren't even thinking about, which is really.
And honestly, even when I really had given up on it, like I'd sort of like given up on the music as a pathway, when I went back to grad school, I thought like, all right, that's done. And now I'll just do it for the love of it and be a classroom teacher.
Wow. Well, it's clear. I mean, I've had the pleasure of performing with you and seeing you perform, and the pleasure and the joy that you feel when you're doing your thing is so evident. And I think that's obviously kids pick up on that instantly. Like they can tell when someone's putting on a show or actually authentically emoting. And that's what I've always loved about what you do. And I want to talk about so much more, but we probably should this is a cooking show. We should probably get cooking.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah. Hey, by the way, right back at you. Like, it was so much fun to play with you at that show at Capitol Hill, and just your energy. I mean, this could be like, I know you've done some stuff with kids. Like, you've got that spirit too, and it's just, there's so much joy that they give back, you know. So, feel very privileged to do this work and to find a way to connect with kids. And by definition, there are always parents there, or grandparents, or teachers. So there's like this multi-generational component, which is cool.
For sure.
All right, down to business here.
Yeah, we'll get down to business. We'll definitely keep talking too. People are loving your story. I'm just reading the comments here on the side.
Cool.
We'll learn more about all of it. We didn't even get into your environmental activism stuff, but let's get cooking first, and then
all right, let's get cooking.
Yeah.
So, as I told Adam, his timing was impeccable asking me to do the show, because we'd had an electric stove till recently. Now we have a gas stove, which is so much sexier for a cooking show. Right? You don't want to see an electric. So tell me if you can tell me if I'm still learning it. I mean, we just got this. Can you see the flame?
I hope there is a flame. Good. Now we can. Yes.
Right.
I was a little bit worried about if you just having the gas flowing.
No gas flowing. All right. That was a moment. I just want to make sure everyone saw that. All right.
See blue flames.
All right. Everybody else is like, that's not exciting, but for us, it is, having wanted one of these forever. Okay. So this is really easy dish, and I think a lot of musicians are big breakfast people, because we all get in this lifestyle of playing late, and then where do you go to eat? It's like diners. And so then there's that camaraderie of being on the road with your friends, but also like the food you want at 3 or 4 in the morning after having played. It's like diner food. So this is like grown-up version of that.
Perfect.
Big fan of the cast iron.
Yeah.
Kind of try to just do as much as I can, just like with one pan, minimize the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
So here, just a little olive oil in the cast iron. And when you see it smoke a little bit, I'm just nerding out with my gas stove because I can, and turn the flame down.
So you actually wait until it starts to smoke a little bit?
Yeah, like it's starting to bubble just a little bit now. You probably couldn't see that. Just so that when you first thing that's going in is the onions, so you just get a little sizzle.
Yeah. And for those who want to follow along with the recipe, it should be right on Facebook, but it's also at reverb.org. You can check it out and follow along there, or do this recipe later. But here we go.
Cool. And tell me if you need me to adjust so you can see what's going on or anything.
No, it looks great.
All right, cool. So get the onions in there. Wooden spoon.
So what are we going for here? Just like a translucency, or like what?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I want to make a shout out to my local farm stand. So, well, there's so many. We're so fortunate where we live here in Western Mass, and it's just, I grew up in a big city in Philadelphia. So even though I've been here a long time, I still can't get over things like, oh, there's a bear out my window, or like I can just drive down the road in the summer and it's an honor system to put a few dollars and take the peaches or the tomatoes or something.
Right, the fruit stands.
And we've got a great co-op and all that. But during the pandemic, there's a local farm called Atlas Farm that really stepped up early so that you could place your orders online and drive up, and they would just come out and put the food in the back of the car. Perfect. So shout out to them. We're using some Atlas Farm veggies today.
Nice. So you're shopping. You're supporting a local farmer. You're already showing your environmental colors here.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just it's an incredible agricultural scene out here, and it feels great to support these people who work so hard and just doing the right thing at every level. So
That's awesome.
getting a little translucent, then going with the green peppers.
Okay. That was pretty short. That was just a few minutes to get those onions to
I probably should have let them go a little longer.
Okay.
In truth.
Well, while we're talking about eating local and sustainable food, Oxfam International is a partner of ours, Oxfam America. And so if you go to oxfamamerica.org/eat-for-good, if you're watching right now, there's all sorts of tips and resources there for you to cook as sustainably as possible. Of course, you're making a plant-based meal here, so that's always an easy way to also limit your food print. So really appreciate you doing this. And I mean, I know this is who you are, so this isn't something you have to learn to do for this show. This is just what you always do.
I don't always have a mezcal Bloody Mary, though, but I think going forward, it's like, what have I been doing all along?
No.
How could we ever make this again without the mezcal?
Absolutely. Have you?
Yeah, I think I jumped the gun on the green peppers, but it's going to work out.
Sure.
So yeah, let's just chat and let this do its thing for a few minutes.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about your environmentalism. How did you get into all of that? And obviously, it made its way into your music as well. But how, like, what turned you on to being more environmentally minded?
That's a good question. I mean, I can say like so I've done 12 albums as Mr. G over the last 10 years or so.
Oh.
And the first one had a song called Don't Waste Stuff. There was also a song about these animals who like go to Washington to demand that the pollution in their pond gets cleaned up. So, I mean, it was clearly, I was trying to think like, is there one specific moment? But I think it was just, over the years, just preceding the kids' music thing, just being concerned about like the fate of the planet and trying to do the little things that I could and to live a cleaner life. So it became again, like so many things, using organic, and ironically, it's a really organic part of the Mr. G process because like those songs just ended up on the first album, but it's become really foundational to a lot of the music that I've written. One of the albums is called Mundo Verde, Green World. It's Mundo Verde is Green World in Spanish. There's an album called Los Animales, the Animals. That's the one that won the Latin Grammy Award. And, just by virtue of having that material and being out on the road and performing it, over time, like-minded people end up wanting to connect. And so we made this connection with Mom's Clean Air Force that I know you have a relationship to as well. And that's one example, or the U.S. Forest Service, different people we met along the way just through performing at a show and then buying the music and getting in touch and leading to these incredible partnerships.
It's amazing. Yeah. So you and I met, I forget how many years ago now. It's been a number of years ago.
Yeah.
In DC, it was Mom's Clean Air Force's event on the hill there.
Yeah.
In front of the Capitol, I believe. And we played little acoustic sets, and it was called the Play-In for the Climate, I believe.
Exactly. It was so awesome playing with you about like that. That is an annual show. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Mom's Clean Air Force is this fantastic national environmental advocacy group. And what Adam's referring to is like their sort of flagship event, which pre-pandemic would take place every July, where moms and kids from all 50 states would come to DC. And what we were doing for years is I would play this concert and sort of get everybody hyped up. And then people like Nancy Pelosi or Cory Booker would get on stage and take it to the next level and, get people fired up to do what they did for the rest of the day, which is like go up on the Hill and lobby their Congress people on behalf of clean air, clean water. So that was an amazing annual event. I really hope we can get back to it. But like one of the things that's been wild in the pandemic for us is so much pivot to virtual stuff. So for example, last year we did that event virtually from the Academy of Music Theater in Northampton, Mass, where I'm based. So like beautiful historic theater, but empty, but like a 5 or 6 camera shoot, and then a bank of interactive Zoom monitors at the front of the orchestra pit. So we could see all the moms and kids from all over the country. And then, senators had contributed remarks. So between songs, we'd hear from different politicians who are on the good side of this pivotal moment in time. So, tried to keep these partnerships going even during these challenging times.
That's great. Have you, as far as your music, and obviously all of us have had to take a big pause in for a while, and now I think some of it's starting to come back. I know we've played a couple shows. It sounds like you've got one coming up too. I don't know if have you done an in-person concert yet, or is this one for Halloween the first one?
We've done several. We did the Springfield Jazz and Roots Festival this summer. We a month or so ago we did a show for the U.S. Forest Service at the George Washington National Forest in Virginia, where I'd never been. It's like extraordinarily beautiful. But yeah, I mean, it looked like a lot was coming back, and then with Delta variant, particularly in the kids' music business, kids not being able to get vaccinated, we've had all sorts of things go away. So yeah, we're doing this Halloween show this weekend, and that's one where there's a little flyer for it. So for the last decade, we've done a Halloween show at the Academy of Music in Northampton, like the theater I just mentioned, which is this beautiful place, and get 600-800 kids in their costumes, just like a really sweet scene. We were all queued up to do that, and then with the variant, just didn't feel right to hold a big indoor event. So we're doing it outside on Sunday morning on Halloween in Amherst. It's a free show, so anyone who wants to road trip to Amherst, Mass, to the Common School, we're going to have a great little celebration all together outdoors.
That's awesome. That'll be fun. Yeah, I mean, that's what I loved about the play-in too. It's just the energy of the kids and setting things up where it's fun for them, and the music. It's all it's more than just here. Watch me on stage. There's stuff going on, and there's just the energy of the kids in general. It is fun. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting. Do you ever miss playing for adults, or do you actually I never want to play for adults again? Kids are so pure and awesome.
I for a while I didn't. I was truly I needed a little break from music at a certain point. Like when I went back to get that degree, I really thought, like I said, I was taking a break from it, and then I really fell back in love with it, with the kids' music. And over the last few years, I have started to miss that, and part of it is that I've constructed the Mr. G show, those gigs that almost for the kind of kid that I, if there had been music like that when I was a kid, what I want, like something funky, and like serious groove, and where you can get some energy out, and people respond to that. But I have a side of the singer-songwriter side that's more like roots Americana and all. So I made an album a couple of years ago called Fireflies, and that is if you change the words just a little bit, that's like a folk Americana record, and that and I'm looking to get back to doing some of that, and having and particularly because a lot of the venues we play are these places that they're Hard Rock Cafe or something like that, or in our town like the Iron Horse or the Calvin, all these places that you've played, where they're actually adult venues. So on a different day, or right, do something be the opening act for a band one night, and then the next morning do the kids show or something. So I'm consciously writing and producing some stuff that I think would feel good to have that balance.
Yeah, a little bit more of the mezcal Bloody Mary side of you.
Exactly. That's perfect. We'll use that in the press kit. That's good.
That's amazing. How are we doing on your recipe? I just don't want to distract you because
I think we're doing really well.
Oh, good.
I think we're doing really well. I'm getting some translucency. Onions are browning up nicely.
Awesome.
I think it was an inspired call to go with the cocktail right off the bat.
while we're talking about the food, I don't want to forget, because I can get in conversation with you because it's just so easy and awesome to talk to you. But I do want to thank Impossible for sponsoring the show. This recipe calls for Impossible sausage, but we weren't able to get it for this particular moment. But you can absolutely add that to the frittata recipe. In fact, that's what your intention was. But we do want to thank Impossible because they make, especially for people who love meat, they make eating a plant-based diet easy. And that's huge because it has such a serious impact. The world's food supply chain, and I'm holding this up because I don't want to mess up the stat here, but the world's food supply chain accounts for 26% of global greenhouse gas pollution. So about half of those result from livestock production. So Impossible makes it possible for us to avoid those emissions from eating livestock. So thank you to
completely. Like, we're big fans, and this is like one of these pandemic things is like just supply chain issues, because we just couldn't get it. So we'll have to imagine how much better this would have been with a little Impossible sausage.
There you go. I'm going to make it definitely with Impossible sausage.
Yeah, you have to. All right, I'm putting the broiler on because we're prepping that, because that's a critical part of this recipe.
All right. I haven't looked ahead at the recipe, so I didn't realize that a broiler is involved in this.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. And so obviously eggs come into this at some point.
Eggs are here.
Okay. You have everything prepped.
I got everything prepped, but this is funny. I had this really busy day today, and I was out walking with my dog about an hour before we came on, and then I just had this sense like, do we have eggs? I text my wife, like barely having any reception, and she's out. No. But fortunately, my neighbors, Luke and Christine, who have pigs and cows next door, also have like 50 chickens. And they hooked me up. So like, this would have been catastrophic without Luke and Christine. And we're talking about truly organic, free range birds. So they were like, oh yeah, we just got these 20 minutes ago. So we'll never have fresher eggs than what we've got today.
Amazing. So you're really keeping this hyper local. You got eggs.
Hyper local. Yeah. Gave me a little scare. More local than I realized.
Well, here's to good neighbors. I'm in my neighbor's kitchen right now. We weren't aware of it until recently. I texted them before the show started, being like, I hope it's okay. I broke into your house. I have 7 13-year-old girls getting ready for an 8th grade dance right now.
Nice.
So I figured I'd get out of the house and not have noise.
Yeah.
Around here.
All right. So when the peppers have lightened up, we've got a little nice browning happening on the onions. What I like to do is spread this all around the pan evenly.
What heat are you at right now? Did you turn that down, or is
I'm
that
at like medium low? Yeah. All right. And now I just pour the egg kind of evenly all over.
Getting a nice sound effect right there.
Right. Nice sizzle.
I've been super into my iron skillets lately. I'm just and it's a great source of iron. It actually, it actually puts iron into the food that you're cooking.
Oh, so great.
All right. So now what happens there?
Now what happens is we've got the broiler heating up. Now I dropped these cherry tomatoes, which I've halved, just kind of spread them out all over.
And those you just reached out of your windowsill for, right? They're just right there.
We do have cherry tomato. I'll take you on a little tour of the house afterwards.
Awesome.
Yeah, we had a nice. Earlier in the summer, it wasn't looking good. I was calling our garden one tomato farm, kind of cynically, because that's all. But we had a nice strong August, so.
Oh, great.
We did well, but I can't take credit for these particular cherry tomatoes, so we had some good ones. You guys have a nice garden?
We So we live across the street from a farm, and they have a community garden there, and so we had a plot there for a while.
Yeah.
When I go away on tour and Lauren was overwhelmed with, dealing with both the kids and all that, our weeding got a little
Yes.
out of control. We didn't weed at all, and the weeds got out of control. So we'd get a couple emails from the folks in charge being like, "Do you guys need help?" And they're like, "All right, we really should abandon this. This is bad."
Right.
So since doing that, we've grown a little bit in some flower pots where we're actually, I think, about to put in for next season. We'll put in some real beds.
Nice.
And do some more growing.
Yeah, similarly, like during the, we used to get a farm share, and then we'd go on the road and feel terrible, like things weren't going to waste or whatever. So we have like very modest home growing aspirations, and but it's so gratifying to go out and get our own basil, our own tomatoes, or lettuce.
Absolutely, it's so funny because I belonged to a CSA as well for a while, and at the time, it was just tons and tons of kale, and I was like, "What do I do with all this kale?"
Exactly.
Now I don't belong to a CSA currently, and I eat kale every morning. Like it's a go-to. I love just eating some kale. So I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had that CSA.
Incidentally, kale is the substitute. If you don't have the green pepper, you can't go wrong with adding kale to this. That's often the way I do it.
Nice.
All right. So what's happening here is we're just letting that mixture. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so we're just heating the bottom, and I can kind of see when it's firming up a little bit, and at a certain point, like the eggs aren't running as much. So then, got grated cheddar cheese, extra sharp. Spread that around.
I see. So this is where the broiler comes in.
Exactly.
Nice. And the iron skillet obviously is key to this. That you can just throw the whole thing in.
For sure.
I'm hesitant to ask you questions right now because you look so focused on.
I'm not that focused. No, this is fire away. I can handle it. I'm just trying to look. I know you've had some like serious chefs on your show, so I'm trying to look like I know it, like I'm really.
You look absolutely like you're in your element right now. What I wanted to know about, because there's so many aspects to you as a human, and that are so impressive. You're an author too. How did you get into writing? And you're a published author. Can you talk about that a bit too?
Sure, thanks. I mean, so my mom was a children's book author and illustrator, and I was an English major in college. I've always been a songwriter, and after a while, like different things started to, whether it was the kinds of festivals we could play or the types of partnerships like Mom's Clean Air Force, just all sorts of different things started to appear, Grammy Award type stuff. Like, wow, there are all these different avenues and different types of opportunities. And then it was clear that some of the songs really lent themselves to us. It was like to being adapted as children's books. All right, hold on. This is an important moment. So I can tell it's ready for the broiler. So
How do you know?
I can tell just because it's just getting firm but beneath, and the eggs aren't moving on top anymore.
Okay. But it's not completely cooked on top.
Definitely don't want to cook it all the way through. No, we're gonna finish cooking it in the broiler.
All right.
All right. So okay. So
you were talking about your books.
Talking about the books. So one of the things that came about at a certain point was there is a foundation called PJ Library, and I learned from Lauren that you guys have received their books. So that's a international organization that distributes children's primarily books, but also music to families around the world. Very low bar on the religious components, more values based. So at a certain point, they approached me commissioned me to write one and then two albums of like original themed Jewish music. So they would then distribute those to their people at Hanukkah around the world. But like their real thing is, you can think of it as like a Jewish Book of the Month club, to those of you who don't know, and anybody can sign up, and then every month, depending on the age of your child, a book arrives. So they talked to me about adapting some of the songs into books. And one thing led to another, and what ended up happening was I got a publishing deal with Penguin Random House, and the original idea was to adapt a lullaby called Lila Tove Goodnight, which ended up coming out illustrated by this extraordinary artist from Israel. But my editor was really also interested in the Spanish-English component. So actually I have one sitting here. So the books that are out all began as songs. So this one is called Senorita Mariposa.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it's about, so the song Senorita Mariposa is just about a butterfly. But when we adapted it to be a manuscript, it transformed into being about the migration of the monarch butterfly from Canada and the US to the mountains of Michoacan in Mexico. And the artist is my friend, he's Mexican artist, Marcos Almada Rivero. Marcos and I originally collaborated on an album called Los Animales, and then then I was in Mexico, we totally hit it off, and he's done all the Mr. G albums and t-shirts for years now. And when the editor asked me if I had anyone in mind who might illustrate the book, I said, you got to check out his portfolio, and happily she went with it. So this book's been amazing. It's like in its 7th printing now, and it's just, I think a lot of kids learn about monarch habitat, and also during the pandemic, people being home, and a lot of interest in learning Spanish and English. So I'll show you a couple of his illustrations that are just amazing. All right, this is one of my favorites. This is like when the butterflies are crossing the Rio Grande. So on one side, you know, it's Mexico. On the other side, it's a kid from the US. And Marcos and I are working on another book together right now called How Many Squirrels Are in the World, which is like this little girl with her hold on, let me just check on this. Oh, this is looking good. We're just about good to go. A girl and her dog and her friends going around like New York City trying to count all the squirrels. This is a sweet one, backtracking from like this time of year when the monarchs start to fly south.
So cool.
By the way, Adam, I just put these in the mail to you and Lauren, so you'll have the copy in a couple of days. This is when they finally arrive in Mexico. And by the way, on our website, I went with the illustrator, and there's a little documentary of us going to see the monarchs. They all the monarchs basically in the world fly to this one very small mountain range in the state of Michoacan.
Wow.
And it's just most extraordinary. I mean, you can't believe it. You go up in the first thing in the morning, and when the sun warms their wings, suddenly like millions of butterflies take to the sky. It's really extraordinary.
Yeah, isn't there a Spanish word for it? Like it looks like a waterfall when they.
A cascada is the word for waterfall. Yeah,
I think there is. Yeah, I've heard it described that way. That's amazing.
All right, guys, here's what we got.
Look at that. That looks incredible. Wait, hold on. We need another close-up shot of that.
Hold on. Before we do, we've got the next step. We'll do the close-up, but I'm pretty psyched about this feature.
There's more.
Gas stove. What I'm going to do now, got the skillet here. Let me see if you can see this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And we're going to toast up a couple tortillas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's how you really want to eat this. Here we go.
I never have the patience for the skillet because it's usually pretty thick and takes a while to heat up. So I'll often put the tortillas like right on over the flame, and it gets that kind of like bubbly burnt, but it's very easy to burn them.
Oh, you mean you'll just do it you'll just
right on it.
That's pretty rugged.
But it's
no pot holder, just like
or sometimes tongs, but yeah, you just kind of flip it right on it.
It's a very rock and roll way of doing your tortillas now.
Yeah.
Right, here's what. Oh, that's hot.
That is gorgeous. Look at the color in there. That's perfect. Look at that caramelized tomatoes and melted cheese. Looks incredible. We definitely have to do the vicarious bite for this one. And
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. It's gonna be hot. So let's give that a second. I was just gonna show you where I've spent most of the pandemic here.
please, yeah, that'd be great. You're gonna give us a little tour.
So the home studio thing has been a godsend. I've made a couple albums during the pandemic, and this is my studio.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Very
I've
cool.
seen you playing some Gretches. Don't you play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the first, I think, we started as a primarily acoustic trio.
Yeah.
When we went into rock and roll, that was kind of the first electric I bought as an adult. I
Yes.
still have my first electric guitar. The first guitar I ever had was an electric.
All right. What's the first guitar you ever had?
Oh, it's a Kramer Focus 3000 with
Nice.
tremolo and the whammy bar that goes all the way down, so you can do those Eddie Van Halen dives.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, Jersey. I grew up in Jersey. I had to,
That's so awesome. My first guitar was strangely, first of all, I got it from my bar mitzvah.
Perfect.
And it was a Martin electric.
Oh wow.
And that did not go well for Martin. Their whole, you never see them. Partly because I love Martin acoustics. I've got I know I'm 28 right here, but their electrics, it wasn't their thing.
Yeah.
But
Looks like we just lost Ben. Hopefully he will come back. Hopefully he didn't lose me. Maybe I'm gonna come back for a second here too. Let's see. I'm gonna do this. Are we back?
hold on a second.
I'm not sure what happened.
Okay.
I think that's Chris's way, who's helping run this whole program, saying, "You guys are going long. We got to get this."
Okay, no, I felt it was just the curse of the Martin electric guitar. This doesn't go well. This is not meant to be. So
Amazing.
Anyway,
thanks for showing us that. That's really cool. That's that's one thing that's been difficult, I think, for our band. And we were able to write and get together later in the pandemic. But at first, we were just, we were on tour. We had to all go our separate ways. We don't live in the same states.
Yeah.
So that was something that was a big moment when we were able to finally get back together, and we bubbled up. This was it was pre-vaccine. So we were just testing, the second tests were more readily available. We kind of tested and bubbled for a week and at a time in Woodstock, New York, and cut a bunch of tracks that we're excited to start releasing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's wonderful that you guys were able to get out this summer.
Yeah, it was just a couple shows, and we just announced the January run this week. So that'll be nice to actually do we'll be on a tour bus. We'll actually be touring together.
Awesome. It's going to feel amazing.
It will. It'll be, it'll still be a little weird because we're not completely out of the woods here.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, like I mentioned at the top of the show, REVERB's out on a bunch of tours right now. And and it's interesting, there's a lot of protocols in place, and rightfully so. It's a scary thing. We actually visited the Harry Styles tour just this last week, and it was wild to just be in an arena with over 10,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, I know that these things are happening, but I can't conceive of that. I haven't been in a space, and the notion of the production involved and the close quarters of a tour, moving from town to town, I don't, you must have got must know so much. It got a lot of insight into how they're making that function, but tricky.
Oh yeah. No, and there's there's a whole system of protocols that every tour has that are a little bit different for each tour, but generally most concerts that we're a part of require proof of vaccination and or a negative test.
Yeah.
For the indoor shows like Harry Styles, masks were mandatory. And I thought Harry handled it really well in reminding people that we're all here to take care of each other. And I thought he did it perfectly.
Yeah.
Tour is called Love on Tour, and his whole thing is be kind to each other. So it was treat others with kindness is one of the slogans. So it fit into everything anyway.
Yeah.
But it was amazing how 5 minutes into the thing, you weren't aware of what you were just enjoying the concert. So
nice.
Yeah, it was.
Well, it's amazing what you guys have done, and I'm thrilled that the Reverb team can get back out there, and that the Guster guys will be.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Into it too. I hope I can catch one of your shows when you get back out.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see you. And wait, we're doing something together too that we should talk about.
Oh yes, we are.
Because I said yes, but I don't even know what I even said yes.
Well, yeah, you agreed before I gave you the details.
That's how much I trust you.
All right. So I as I mentioned, I've done so many virtual things since the pandemic, and now have been asked to do the Hanukkah show for the JCCs of North America. So this is what you've agreed to, Adam. Okay. I won't hold it to you.
I'm in. I'm still in.
Okay, cool. So on the 8th night of Hanukkah, there's going to be a virtual Mr. G show that's going to be broadcast out to everyone. And the upshot is I'll be playing some of those songs that I mentioned that I wrote for those PJ Library albums, but then between them, cutting to illustrious guests like Adam Gardner and this guy I met in recently. He's one of the most inspirational characters that I've ever come across. His name is Everett Gendler. He's a 93-year-old rabbi, and he was part of the Earth Day show we did. Has been this lifelong environmentalist. You would love this guy. You have to meet him. He's in Great Barrington in the summertime.
Oh, nice.
So he had this long association with Martin Luther King, major social justice stuff, and now for decades with the Dalai Lama. So he's been to India many, many times. But he's a guest on the show. I was just at his place taping something with him. My friend Oran Etgen, who's a great Israeli clarinetist, and we're gonna shoot it here in Northampton with some kids. And what happened? I also from time to time guest DJ this Jewish kids radio show, and I was looking for Hanukkah songs the other day and discovered your brilliant Applesauce versus Sour Cream.
You're talking about my Hanukkah band, the Levies.
Yes, I am indeed. Yeah. Does everyone know about this side project of yours?
Some people, the Guster fans, I think, do for the most part. But yeah, and actually, it's funny. There's a spinoff of the Levies called the Macaroons, and PJ Library has distributed them.
Nice.
Yeah.
So well, I've got a song, by the way, called Latkes for Breakfast. Perfect. So I think it'll be a perfect segue into that, that major decision that we're all faced with, the applesauce versus sour cream. So it'd be fantastic to have you contribute that to the mix.
Happy to. That's great.
Awesome.
Well, man, thanks. So wait, we need the Vicarious Bite, and then we're going to have
Vicarious Bite. All right.
While you're prepping for that, I want to say thank you again to Impossible Foods, Oxfam, Relics, Guster and fans, Defend Our Future, and all the other partners of Reverb and of this show. If you came in late to this, or you want to see this again, or check out the recipe, you can go to Reverb's Facebook or YouTube, or just reverb.org. Let's get that Vicarious Bite. And I hope to cook this tomorrow. I haven't tried the Impossible sausage yet. I've had the Impossible ground meat, but I've not had the sausage.
All right. Oh, critical. Got to have some sriracha with this.
All right.
Or any hot sauce will do.
That's your hot sauce of choice?
That's kind of these days it kind of is. All right, man. I wish you could pop over for dinner. I've got a lot of veggie frittata, but we'll settle for Vicarious Bite. Say hi to the kids.
I will for sure. Look at that steam. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. It's maybe like a ceremonial. I think it's a little too hot.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. G.
Thanks, Adam.
Scheim. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for doing the show, and thanks for everything you're doing. Look forward to checking out those books. Look forward to playing together with you on Hanukkah. Have a great Halloween show.
Thank you.
And I'm sure our paths will cross many times, and I look forward to the next time it does.
Excellent. Thanks so much for including me on the show. Great to see you, and thanks for everything you're doing for the planet.
Thank you. All right, bye, everybody. Until the next episode of REVERB's Kitchen. We do have a few more coming, hopefully before the end of the year. And stay tuned on our socials.